Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Me? Well, I come bearing gifts. Those fine purveyors of British-built dumpers, Thwaites, are sending me a couple of Christmas tree baubles. That's what they look like. And since I dare not impinge upon my wife's festive colour scheme here at Demolition News Tower this year, I'm going to give them away. For your chance to win, just type the word Thwaites in the chat. That's THWAITES between now and the end of the show, and we'll let our randomizer pick a winner. I'm going to roll a ticker across the foot of the screen for most of the show, just to remind any latecomers. But before we get to all of that, it's time to roll the intro and get the show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It's Wednesday, the 8th of December, and as that remarkably persistent guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, we're going to look at the UK construction industry's disappearing migrant workforce. It's a sheer delight to bring you the latest Caterpillar attachment. Pick a card. Pick any card. Pick a yellow card. No, not you. You work in demolition. I'll clarify that a bit later on. And we're going to take a closer look at the activities of the National Emergency Services Support Network, Taskforce rather, NESST. We'll get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days.
Happy birthday!
And it's many happy returns to former Queen of Scotland, Mary, Queen of Scots, and to Finnish composer Sibelius, to the Candyman, Sammy Davis Jr., and to the Lizard King himself, Mr. Jim Morrison of The Doors, to author Bill Bryson, to shaven-headed songstress Sinead O'Connor, and to Jackass director Jeff Tremaine. But far, far more importantly, a very happy birthday to my childhood hero and former West Ham striker, and still the only man to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final, Sir Geoff Hurst. They think it's all over. Well, they're wrong. We've only just started. Many happy returns to them, one and all. The Construction Industry Training Board's annual migration report has revealed that the number of migrant workers in construction is continuing to fall significantly. With output growth at its highest level in almost 25 years, the industry is finding it difficult to cope. This is partly due to the number of construction workers who left the UK since the EU Freedom of Movement Act ended. Key findings from the research showed the number of migrant workers in the UK construction industry fell by 8.3% in 2020, with 25,000 fewer workers in the sector than in 2019. Over the last 3 years, the number of migrants working in construction has fallen by 15%, from over 326,000 to just 280,000. That's the equivalent of 1 in every seven migrant workers leaving the sector. Here in London, which has the highest concentration of migrant construction workers in the UK, the number has fallen from 145,000 in 2019 to 125,000 in 2020. The research found that many employers are simply not engaging with the points-based immigration system, that's the licence scheme, to enable them to hire non-UK-born workers. In addition, several large and medium-sized employers were concerned that some skilled trades were not accessible through the skilled worker visa, including dry liners, asbestos workers, and insulators. Steve Radley, Director of Policy at CITB, said the transition out of the EU and into a new immigration system was always going to be difficult, and the pandemic and interrupted supplies of materials has intensified skills and cost pressures. We know that developing homegrown talent will be at the heart of addressing these skills challenges, and that government is taking action to grow apprenticeships and to get more college students into construction jobs. Employer investment in key skill areas such as apprenticeships is recovering and should improve further in 2020. But for many, their struggle to deliver on the current workloads is hampering their ability to free up time to invest in training just when it's most needed. There'll be more on our disappearing workforce tomorrow. I received something else just before I came on here. I didn't have a chance to get it ready for today's show. So keep watching for tomorrow, and I'll tell you more about that then.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility, and productivity. It's the added versatility that you need at the value you can afford. To find out more, visit millergroundbreaking.com.
Now, maybe it's just me, but when I think of a demolition shear, I automatically picture it mounted on an excavator. But demolition shears are far more versatile than that, as Caterpillar is about to prove. Now, before we hear from another of our show sponsors, don't forget to type the word Thwaites in the chat for your chance to win a Thwaites branded bauble for your Christmas tree. That's THWAITES. So, tomorrow morning, literally while I'm on air, those fine folks at Doosan will be unveiling a new 10 model DX-7 range of crawler and wheeled excavators. Now, since neither I nor you can be in two places at the same time, that rather leaves us with a conundrum. I'm trying to figure that out the best course of action. But while I'm doing that, here's a very brief glimpse of what tomorrow has in store. Now, I'm going to reach out to the team at Doosan to see if I can get my hands on the necessary materials ahead of time. If that doesn't work, I will see if I can add the Doosan launch to the end of tomorrow's show, or possibly bring it into the middle of the show. And if all else fails, I will bring you the highlights on Friday's show. We'll figure it out one way or another. Allow me, if you will, to very quickly draw some comparisons between two specialist disciplines from within the construction sector. The piling sector is currently impacted by a severe skills shortage. Demolition is currently impacted by a severe skill shortage. The piling sector is struggling to attract new entrants. Demolition is struggling to attract new entrants. The piling sector has an aging workforce. Demolition has an ageing workforce. Training within the piling sector is not suited to classroom learning. I think you know where I'm going with this. Training within the demolition industry is not suited to classroom training either. The piling sector has a new provisional competence card that can be gained by spending time on a simulator. The demolition industry has a... No, we don't have one of those. New entrants to the piling sector are being offered the opportunity to gain a provisional yellow card with 70 hours experience on a simulator, a simulated end test and a CPCS theory test. The card is free of charge. Meanwhile, the UK demolition industry has had access to simulators for years now. The National Demolition Training Group is now on its second simulator. The first one is still in use, as I understand, at the headquarters of AR Demolition. But a provisional card based purely upon simulator hours is sadly lacking here in the field of demolition. Why? Is it because a piling simulator is easier and more straightforward? No. In fact, it's probably more complex. Is it because the Federation of Piling Specialists are somehow more advanced than the National Demolition Training Group? No, that's not it either. The truth is that major infrastructure projects such as HS2 are dependent upon piling, and the big name contractors on projects like HS2 are extremely wealthy, extremely vocal, and they have the ear of government. So for now at least, what is good for the piling goose is not necessarily good for the demolition gander.
Axoft and Svantec are your high-end partners for noise, vibration, dust and air quality systems, sensors and software. To find out more, visit axoft.co.uk or call 01234 639 550.
Regular viewers will know that we have been covering the launch of the National Emergency Services Support Taskforce, or NEST for short, for quite some time. NEST is a key element of the book Dangerous Structure Emergency Response by Paul Forward. Now, let me see. I'm going to post a link to that in the chat right now before I go on any further. You should be seeing that any second now. I would still urge you to grab a copy of the book, which goes into way more depth on the subject of NEST than I'm likely to. And it also details the likely demolition response to a dangerous structure. In the meantime, Paul Ford and his colleagues have now produced a video that provides an insight into NEST, into its goals and its role in the emergency support framework. And we've got that video for you right now. I'll tell you now, the film is a little over 4 minutes in length, which is quite long by our usual standards. But given the subject matter, I'm hoping you'll cut me a little slack. And besides, it does give you a time, and I'm going to reintroduce the banner. It does give you a time to type the word Thwaites into the chat for your chance to win a Thwaites branded Christmas tree bauble. So sit back, type the word Thwaites, and here is what NEST is all about.
NEST is the National Emergency Services Support Task Force. It was established to create a bridge between the emergency services and local authorities during the blue light phase of response to a dangerous structure.
We work with USAR at dangerous structures to advise on the reaction of the building at the most time-critical stage of any incident.
So what is urban search and rescue? Predominantly that's the fire service responding to buildings that have collapsed due for whatever reason, whether that's terrorist related, whether that's damage to the building, a vehicle into building. There's several reasons why a building may collapse. We'll be called in to search that building and access all areas to save life from the building, or even to recover the deceased.
NEST supports the emergency services in helping make selective decisions and effective decisions during an emergency situation, providing structural advice, guidance and support to the incident commanders and the USAR TAC advisors.
Members are a selected and qualified competent group of construction industry experts that provide their expertise to support incident commanders whenever additional advice or clarification is required.
Working with Paul's team in the past, we've managed to get consistent advice, and what NEST will bring to us is not only remote advice but a thorough understanding of our own systems of work and how we operate. So based on what their knowledge of our operating procedures, they're able to provide us with sometimes real life-saving, time-critical advice. An example of that was when we had a building collapse in Whitechapel. Our normal standard operating procedures were to shore up and prop up an entire basement, an operation that would normally take us about 12 hours. With the advice from Paul's team, we were able to reduce that down to just 2 hours. And it's time saved like that that can actually save lives, allows us to work through the building quicker to access those that really need our help.
If you're a structural engineer or demolition engineer with temporary works or dangerous structures experience, or a business which specialises in dangerous structures, we would like to hear from you. We're building a national map of NEST members for all regional USAR advisors to reach out to in any hour of need.
We also worked with Paul's team at the following the Grenfell Tower tragedy. I was responsible for the body recovery operation on behalf of the London Fire Brigade, and having that familiarity with Paul's team and working with that team to access the building that had been compromised, to give us advice on how we could access those that are deceased and expedite their recovery, really saved us once again valuable time. And it's having that relationship and that familiarity means that you can hit the ground running. You know each other, you know the personalities, and we know the job that's got to be done. And NEST's advice at that incident was invaluable.
All NEST members are thoroughly vetted and competency assessed to ensure they meet with the exacting standards set by London Fire Brigade and the National Resilience Assurance Team in respect to providing support, guidance and active engagement in emergency situations.
Membership is selected and limited. You will receive specific training around dangerous structures response and the operational needs of fire services, and in particular USAR. You will also be permitted to proudly display the NEST logo on your business livery as a further demonstration of you or your firm's competency.
So in London, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with NEST, and this is a model that will be replicated across the country. We're relying on NEST to select only the finest, best advice available to us from individuals and businesses, so we can ensure that consistent advice is given to urban search and rescue teams across the country. We regularly train with our blue light partners from the police and medical services, and we truly look forward to NEST joining that family and assisting us to respond to life-saving events.
If you're inclined to share your expertise and give something back at a potentially life-saving stage of an incident, we need you in NEST. Please go to the website at www.nest-response.com and send us your CV and we will make contact.
Now, as I say, you can find out way more about NEST, N-E-S-S-T, in the Dangerous Structure Emergency Response book. You can find a link to that in the chat. And also check back next week. We're actually currently working on a video interview with Paul Ford and his colleague Mark Smith. You saw both of them in the video there.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, we should be about ready to find out who has won our Thwaites branded Christmas tree bauble. Let's have a look. Let me go over to the right place now. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to set this rolling and see who we come up with. Gary Muirhead. Gary is a repeat winner here on the Breakfast Show. Gary, I haven't actually got, let me just get rid of that for the time being. I haven't actually got the bauble as yet, but I'm reliably informed that it is on its way. Just going to congratulate you again with some fireworks. Yeah, as soon as it arrives here, I will get that in the post for you, Gary. No problem at all, with my best wishes. And I'm sure the best wishes of the fine folks over at Thwaites as well. Now, if you didn't win today, don't fret. I've got another one to give away tomorrow, so be sure to tune in then. Let's get rid of the fireworks because frankly they're annoying. that pretty much wraps up today's show. If I can get some work done beforehand, I'm going to hop over onto Instagram Live at noon today. Not been there for quite some time, and I feel like I'm letting it down our 140,000 plus followers over there. Don't forget, our brand new show, The Surgery with Dr. Terry Cornby, is scheduled to air at 6 p.m. tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and of course on demolitionnews.com. It's a show that has already got the industry talking, so be sure to tune in tonight. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat. But before I do so, I do want to say a very quick good morning to probably one of our youngest fans. Good morning, Henry. Hope you're well, and I hope Santa has got a sack full of presents coming to you very, very soon. Merry Christmas in advance to Henry and to Julie from way up in the frozen northeast. That should just about do me. I'm going to leap over into the chat in just a second. If you can't stick around, I'll be back here on the morrow, usual time, usual place for more of this old stuff and nonsense. But until then, stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being here. Here comes that outro.